What's up everybody, this is Rich with Lifetime Shred and we're out here to talk about my first ride on the Hyperlite Guara. So this is the 153. Got out to ride this for the first weekend of its use, last weekend at Amandi Wake Zone. Had a blast. Here's just a couple quick clips of a couple tricks I was stoked on for it.
Find it.
Let's get into the board itself and my thoughts about it. You know, I would definitely say I noticed the width of the board. So it's about an inch more narrow than my old board in the waist. And I could feel that on edge, it was just much quicker to move over from heel to toe in a turn, which at first felt a little weird, but once I got used to it, I actually could see the advantage to it, just being able to react quicker, whether that's cutting in for a transfer or landing a trick or something like that. So I ended up, I think I do like that overall. Yeah, in terms of the flex of the board, you know, when I flexed this initially in my first impressions video compared to the Volt, it did feel a little bit stiffer, and I could feel that out on the water as well. You know, I would definitely say this is just a little bit stiffer than the Volt, especially in the belly. You know, like when you'd go into a nose press, you could feel the nose press, but the middle of the board almost felt like it didn't want to flex at all, where the Volt still has a little bit of flex in the middle. I do wonder with this board though, it's brand new. Maybe after, you know, a few more uses, it'll loosen up in the middle a little bit. But the tip and the tail were still very flexible. You could still get into a press, but maybe not feel that squeeze of the press quite as much as I was feeling on the Volt. I think that would be probably the only negative thing I would say about the board so far, is I do like that Volt flex, that broken in Volt flex, but I think this will break in as well. You know, another big thing about this board was I was moving over to the bottom features here on the base from a flat base. So this is the beveled edge and the bottom feature. And yeah, I would say this board, I wouldn't say it's super grippy. I would say it's still pretty loose on the water. Didn't really feel much more grippy than my Volt, but it was kind of nice with the beveled edge. As you can see here with the wear, you know, you get a little bit of wear kicking in here in the center, but up on that beveled area, still looks pretty fresh. And that just highlights, you know, if you were gonna hit something like maybe a piece of plastic sticking up a little bit or a screw, that it's less likely to catch on the board and make you fall. You know, in terms of durability, you know, overall, held up pretty well for the first couple of days. You can see I got some scrapes and stuff on there, but you know, nothing major. You know, that really highlights the wear. You don't get it in the channels or on the beveled edge, but yeah, I think the base will hold up well. Yeah, in terms of pop on this board though, I thought the pop was great. You know, one of the things I was working on for the first time is I really want to get better at jumping onto features front side, and I was working on this box at Amandi's that's probably, I don't know, between knee and waist high, so maybe like 2 feet off the water, 2.5 feet off the water, and ollieing on and getting front boards. And I've never actually done that on that feature ever before, so this board definitely has a ton of pop off the water with the ollie. I would actually say even more pop than the Bull had, so that's a huge plus to this board. You know, one other thing I'd say is speed on the water with this base. Board felt pretty fast, you know, between the rocker profile and then, you know, the base features. It just, yeah, never felt like I was dragging or it was running too slow. It was plenty good into kickers, into features and everything else. You know, in terms of mounting, I did mount my space mobs on here and they did mount totally fine. And this ended up being a 22-inch stance. So I know some people are like, oh, you got to rock the same bindings on whatever brand board you have. Not true. Totally will work. And yeah, I just really dig the look of those on there. Plus, I just dig the space mobs in general. It's my favorite boot to ride. I did make one slight modification to them though. I was like swapping out for the Ronix lace pull there, and it actually does go right on the stock laces. Something else I really like about this board, obviously the graphics pretty sick, but this like white trim on the outside. I was looking at some of the clips that I filmed and it definitely makes the board pop on the water. Had to throw some stickers on the board. We got the Lifetime Shred. I really like these burn stickers. Stay out there. It's like, don't get lazy, just keep going. My favorite sunscreen J-Tree Life sunscreen. It's a good zinc block. What else we got on here? We got Grab Matters, because of course the Safety First Danger Next CGA vest sticker. And then my buddy's shop back in Rochester, Neon Wave. Yeah, all in all, feeling really good about this purchase here. I think this was a good board for me to transition over to something new out of the Volt, and I think I'm gonna keep riding it definitely for a while. Hopefully I'll get 2 or 3 seasons out of this deck. I like the waist width. The pop on the board's insane. It's a good balance of being loose on the water but not too loose. It seems to be holding up durability wise, and yeah, really excited to keep riding this throughout the year. So anyway, that's my wrap up on my first ride on the Guara. If you're looking for a great all-around cable board, I definitely think you should consider this one out. It's just got lots of great features, and I don't think it pegs you into like just being a kicker guy or just being a jibber. It's a really do everything board and have a good time out there. So with that, I bid you adieu. Hope you're having fun, getting out shredding, and we'll catch you later. Bye.